Flyin Brian J, MMAmania.com. We're here to talk about the main event of UFC 206, where Anthony Showtime Pettis takes on Max Blessed Holloway for an Interim Featherweight Championship. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about the Interim Championship nature of the contest, so I'm going to let you guys discourse about it in the comment section down below. Do you think that it should be for an interim title, or do you think that perhaps maybe it could just be for a guaranteed title shot? Either way though, belt or no belt, this fight is fantastic, at least on paper, and should be fireworks from the get-go. Let's get going with the matchup, starting with the tail of the tape. Pettis is a former UFC Lightweight Champion. Since he last defended that belt against Gilbert Melendez, he went on a 3-fight losing skid, but has since found his way back into the winning column when he made his featherweight debut against Charles Oliveira just back in August. Max Blessed Holloway is on a 9-fight winning streak. Pettis has a 3-inch reach advantage, he's going to be at a 1-inch height disadvantage, and he's 4 years older than Max Holloway. Now, Fightnomics by Reed Kuhn with Kelly Krieger says all of those numbers are not significant. But something that I do think is significant is the amount of significant strikes that each fighter lands per minute. Max Holloway at 5.6 and Tony Pettis at 2.5, so Max more than doubles up on him there, and Max also almost doubles up on his strikes absorbed per minute with his strikes landed per minute. He's almost at a 2-to-1 ratio, where Anthony Pettis is basically at 1-to-1. Now, looking at the stylistic matchup portion of this fight, Anthony Pettis and Max Holloway both are right-handed fighters who have had a lot of success in the southpaw stance. So much so that Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens brought in Max Holloway to be a training partner when he was preparing for Anthony Pettis back at UFC 136. But for that fight, Anthony threw a wrench into the mix and he utilized a lot of wrestling in order to get a decision victory over Stevens. And I think a little bit of that has to do with it was the first training camp where he worked with Funky Ben Askren. Now, Team Rock Biggie and Mike Biggie Rhodes told me on Twitter tonight that Anthony Pettis has not been working with Ben Askren for this camp specifically, but he has been working with Izzy Martinez and Izzy Style Wrestling since prior to his title defense against Gilbert Melendez in effort to really round out his game. Anthony Pettis is known as a dynamic, flashy striker. A little bit of that has to do with his fantastic highlight reel kicks landed on Smooth Benson Henderson, with the Showtime kick heard around the world, his TKO to the body of Donald Cerrone, and his head kick knockout over Joe Lozon. His left body kick and his left high kick when in a southpaw stance are his most dangerous weapons. He can throw it with quickness where his opponent can't even see it coming. If he's in an orthodox stance, his most devastating strike is an overhand right. He does mix up his combinations quite a bit, and he likes to end his combinations with kicks, and he will hide his kicks behind a few boxing techniques. On the opposite side of the fence from him will be Max Holloway, who I don't think will try to utilize a wrestling game, but it could be interesting to know if Anthony Pettis is going to be trying to implement a wrestling tactic on Max Holloway, because Anthony Pettis, even though he is a really dynamic striker, he also has really opportunistic submission attempts, and he's a really high-level jiu-jitsu player. When he finished Benson Henderson back in the day to snag the UFC Lightweight belt, it was a result of him landing that body kick over and over and over. And then when Benson took him down, Anthony Pettis hit one of the quickest armbar submission attempts off of his back that you will ever see in mixed martial arts competition. He's also really opportunistic with guillotine chokes when his opponent will shoot in a sloppy takedown attempt. He also has high-level ground control and back mount, and he will look for chokes. Anthony Pettis, he's known as a striker, but most of his victories are via submission. Max Holloway, not known for his submissions, but he does own a submission victory over another person on this card in Cub Swanson, where he defeated him via guillotine. But it was kind of an accumulation of damage where he got Swanson to the ground, was able to sink in that guillotine choke. Holloway on the feet is really dynamic. I mentioned he's going to be at a 3-inch reach disadvantage, but he fights extremely long. And he does a similar thing to Conor McGregor, where he will push in order to get a push back, and then he will counter his opponents. He's really good with his left straight when he's in a southpaw position and a right hook, but he's really good at throwing a jab, when he gets his opponent to come forward at him, he'll pop a jab out there, change the angle, and then fire his power weapon, whether that be a right straight, a left straight, a left power kick to the body, similar to Anthony Pettis, or what have you. He will also mix it up to the body, and he'll throw occasionally a spinning technique. And we mentioned it on the tail of the tape, Max Holloway's volume is second to none. This guy really puts on the pressure, and he lands at a really high clip with a high percentage of accuracy. Something that we need to pay attention to is that these guys found out that this would be a 5-round main event championship fight just under a month ago. So after that, they would have had to have changed up their game plan just a little bit, and we need to know which guy is going to have more cardio and be more well prepared for this 5-round fight. Anthony Pettis has been scheduled and has gone the 5-round distance a few times in his career, where Max Holloway has been the 5-round distance just one time. But I have no doubt that Max can go the full 5-round distance again if need be. I do have one question about Anthony Pettis coming into this fight. If you've been listening to my pre or post fight shows on MMA Mania's Facebook page, you know that I question Anthony's ferocity. In a few of his fights, he showed a bit of tentativeness that made me question if he still had the desire to fight, but I went and watched the tape again against Charles Oliveira, and that fire was there. He was very tenacious. In fact, he dropped Charles in the very first round, and so that right there made me forget all of my questioning of his tenacity. I think that we will see a really hungry Anthony Pettis. In the end, I'm picking Max Holloway to pick up the victory for a couple of reasons. I think that he's going to be able to utilize a deeper chest of tools and put out more weapons from his arsenal. And he's also going to be the busier fighter throughout the course of this 5-round main event. And also, I think that since they just learned not too long ago that this is a 5-round main event, the styles favor Max Holloway. Anthony Pettis is going to be looking for one technique to finish the fight, whether that be a high kick or an overhand right or an opportunistic guillotine choke. I don't think he's going to be able to find that early on, and as it goes on, I think that Holloway will be able to overwhelm him more and more with his abundant striking techniques. I've got Max Holloway to pick up 4 out of the 5 rounds on all 3 judges' scorecards. I think that Holloway wins 49-48. But if you think that Anthony Pettis is able to sink in an opportunistic guillotine choke or to hit one of those devastating high kicks, I don't fault you at all, but I do favor Holloway to get the victory. Please give this video a thumbs up, tell me who you're picking and why in the comment section down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on my next video. Namaste.